Hello everyone. This video is to give an idea about image compression models. An image compression model explains different steps involved when an image is compressed or when an image is decompressed. Okay. An image compression is done with the help of a software program called an encoder, and the decompression process is done with the help of a program called decoder. If a program has both the capability of encoding an image or compressing an image or decoding an image or decompressing an image, such an application or a software can be called as a codec. You might have heard this term when you try to open some video formats in your computer, so that the application will tell you to install some codec. Okay. Now let's look at what are the basic idea of compression and decompression. So here I have written f of xy or f of xyt. So the f of xy is representing an image and f of xyt is representing a video. So we can compress both image as well as video. In order to get a practical picture on when an image is compressed or when an image is decompressed, suppose that you are using your mobile phone to take a picture, then you will be seeing the entire image in your mobile phone or in the camera application. So that image is, we are calling it as f of xy. So when you click or when you tap the capture button, the image is captured and it will be stored in some format such as JPEG or PNG, etc. So when this happens, this is the result of that image compressed. So when you click the image using your camera, that entire image is compressed using this encoding procedure, and that is saved in several formats such as JPEG and PNG. If you want to open those files, then you will have to decompress that files in the format of JPEG or PNG. So that is actually done with the help of a decoder. So a decoder receives the compressed image, then it is giving us the original image to view. Okay. So the compression happens when an image is stored, and a decompression happens when an image is open for viewing. Okay. Now you might have noticed here I have written f of xy, but here I have written f hat of xy. So there are some differences happening here. Suppose that if you have an image f of xy and first you compressed it, then you are decompressing it, then you get an image of the same quality, or if you restore the same image, then that compression process is called a lossless compression. Or it is also called as error-free compression. Now you have an image f of xy, but you are compressing it and then you are decompressing it, and the image that you are getting is not exactly what you have compressed. It has slightly some differences, which is denoted by the term f hat of xy. Then such compression procedure is called a lossy compression. Okay, so you might have noticed these things happening in your real life. Suppose that you are capturing an image using your mobile phone camera, and you will be seeing that image with a higher quality. Okay, but once you send that image through some applications such as WhatsApp, in the receiving end, the receiver, when they view the image will not have the same quality as that had when you captured the image. So the reason is they are compressing that image using a lossy compression algorithm, so that some minute details are lost. Now let's talk about different stages involved in encoding or the compression process, or in the decoder or the decompression process. In the first stage, it is given the mapper. As a side note, you have to understand that all these processes may or may not be present in a particular compression algorithm. This is actually generalizing all the procedures involved. So the first one is mapper. The purpose of the mapper is to reduce the spatial or temporal redundancy. Reduce spatial or temporal redundancy. Okay, so we know that spatial or temporal redundancy is, the spatial redundancy is an image where adjacent pixels are looking the similar, so we can group them and take it as we can use those group with a, we can represent those group with a smaller amount of information. Okay, temporal redundancy actually comes in terms of videos where you have several subsequent frames having the same information, so that you can group them in a time span. So these are the redundancies that is intended to reduce in the first stage, that is the mapper stage. Okay, so most of the time this mapper stage can be reversible or irreversible. Reversible or irreversible means once you have done the mapping stage, the number that you are getting after the mapping stage may not be reversed back to the original f of xy. Okay, so it can be reversible or irreversible, depends on the algorithm that we are using for compression and decompression. Then most of the time the kind of mapping function we are using is the image transform, such as DFT or DCT. Actually DCT is used in the JPEG image compression algorithm. Okay, and it can also be run length coding. Run length coding. Okay, so we have seen what is run length coding. That is, if you have several pixels that is located adjacent, then we will be grouping them and we will just take the number of pixels and the intensity of that pixel, then we will group them together. So that is the idea of run length coding. So in DCT or DFT we will be storing the frequency information of the image, so we are actually converting one set of quantity into a different set of quantity, so that it will make it will reduce the number of data to be stored to preserve the same kind of information. So this is the idea about mapper. The next stage in this process is the quantizer. Okay, so the purpose of the quantizer is to reduce the accuracy of mapper's output. Okay, so whatever the mapper gives a value, the quantizer is to reduce the accuracy of that mapper's output. So you can take an example. Suppose that at some stage you have an image. Okay, so after finding the mapper's output, this image is transformed using certain transformations such as DCT or DFT that I mentioned previously. So imagine that the number that you get at this particular point is, let's say it is 6.9. What the quantizer does is, this number will be rounded down, or it will be flowed to the value 16. So we actually don't care about whether the number is 16 or 16.9, because even if we omit the quantity 0.9, that will not make any big difference in the appearance of that image. So I can reduce the accuracy at this point. So I will get the number 16. So but the problem with this particular quantization is, you cannot actually restore the original value to 16.9, because if you are given a number 16, you have no idea from what number this 16 actually uh, uh, came. Suppose that this can actually come from 16.91, can actually come from 16.2 or 16.3, etc. So you will not be able to get the original number once you have quantized the number. Okay, so this step will not be present in the process of a error free or the lossless compression, because in the lossless compression, if you have the original image after compression and decompression process, you will get the original image back. But if the quantizer is sacrificing some accuracy, then you will never get the original image back. So this is actually a irreversible process. It is actually a irreversible process. Okay, so you will not be able to get the original image back. So this can be done in a lossy compression, but it is not recommended for lossless compression. Now the third stage in the compression process is the symbol coder. So the purpose of a symbol coder is to generate fixed length or variable length codes for the quantizer's output. Okay, that means that we have already seen an example, and I will just give an idea about that process. Suppose that you have an image which has only four different intensities. Let's say you have an intensity 187 and 246, 128, then 100. So these are the only four intensities present in an image. So if you take 8 bits to represent the pixel value, then that will be consuming a lot of space. So what we will do is, we will first look at what number is frequently occurring in my image. Suppose that the 40% of the pixel is 187 and 20% is 246, and let's say a 10% is 128, then you have the remaining 30% is 100. So what you will do is, instead of giving an 8-bit representation for all these different intensities, we'll first look at which symbol is happening quite frequently. So you can see that the 40% 187 is happening in this image more frequently. So what I will do is, I will represent it with the shortest length code, let's say 0. So this is just an example. So then you will look at the 30%. So 100 is occurring 30%. So we will give another symbol for this particular intensity. Then you will look at this one. The next one is 20%. So you will assign some other values, let's say 0, 1 for this particular intensity 246, and for 128 I may be giving suppose that it is 0, 0, 0. So this is the case of a variable length coding, and if you are giving some fixed length coding such as 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, this will also do the process. So most of the time we are preferring for a variable length coding because it can reduce the number of data used to represent an image. Okay, so this is the purpose of a symbol coder. The symbol coder is to generate the fixed or variable length code for the quantizer's output values. Then these output values will be stored as the compressed image. Now we will look at different processes involved in symbol decoder and inverse mapper. So what happens is, the purpose of symbol decoder is to reverse what symbol coder has been done, and the purpose of inverse mapper is to do the reverse of what mapper has already done. And we cannot reverse the operation of quantizer because that is an irreversible process. So the symbol decoder, what it actually does is, so reverse the operation of symbol coder, and the purpose of inverse mapper is to reverse the operation of mapper. Okay, so this was the operation of a symbol coder, that is, it is producing variable length or fixed length codes. So what finally we want to do is, when we decompose or when we open an image, you have to get these numbers back to the 8-bit representation. So that is the inverse process of the symbol coder. And for the inverse mapper, what we have to do is, this mapping operation has done some processes like DFT or DCT or run length coding. So we have to reverse those operations as well. So that is the purpose of inverse mapper. and after doing this process you will be getting an image which will be completely looking like the original image f of xy if it is a lossless compression, and it will be otherwise f hat of xy if it is a lossy compression.